post again, and let's see if that happens.
Okay. All right. And I'm gonna get Joe in here.
Oh, you know why? I'm giving it to the
Why?
wrong Pam.
Oh,
I can't help you.
all right, Pam, you're teaching tonight.
To
We're
Pam
always in
Grushkin.
trouble.
Yes. All right, let's see if that.
Now
oh,
we're
I-
in business. We're in business.
Oh, yay.
We are in business. Okay. We're
I'm
jumping
so
in,
sorry.
ladies. No worries. Honest, easy mistake. Okay, so let's jump in. This is the brioche cowl featured in the pattern. And brioche is a part of a family of stitches called tuck stitches. And tuck stitches happen when a needle already holding a loop receives another loop, and it creates these arches that you see here. And that's when you're making yarn overs and slipping stitches on one row, and on the next row you're knitting or purling the yarn overs and slip stitches together. And it is reversible, not identical, but reversible. And like I had said to you in the literature you got, the only thing that makes the main color is that it's your cast on and bind off edge.
Mhm.
Okay. So I'd like you all to get your cast on stitches in hand, and you'll need a beginning around marker. I
Yep.
want you to
Okay.
arrange your cast on stitches so that the cast on edge is on the interior and the loops are on the outside.
Okay.
Okay. Take your marker and put it on your right hand needle. And we're going to start the setup round. It begins with a knit one. So go ahead and knit that first stitch. That will join us in the round. Okay, now let me just stop and ask, raise your hand if you knit English. Okay, so one English and the rest of you ladies knit continental?
No, I'm English. Sorry.
Oh, you're English as well. Oh, you are
American.
English. Okay.
American.
Okay.
American.
And Jackie, what do you do?
Continental.
Okay, so I'll demonstrate both ways. Up, Darren just got here.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right. Let me let him in because I can.
I did.
Oh, thank you. Oh, that's right. You
You're
have
welcome.
control.
Now, that's right. It's mine, all mine. All right. Hi, Darren, how are you? Oh. Hi, Darren. Oh, hi, Darren, how are you?
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello.
We
hello.
can. Can you hear? Can
Okay.
you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So we just started this very minute. We had some technical difficulties.
Okay.
Okay, so we're on page 3 of the pattern at the setup round. And we're going to knit that first stitch, locking in our marker and joining us in the round. Okay, so next you see the abbreviation YF, which means yarn forward, SL1, slip 1, yarn over. So what that means is you're going to bring your yarn through the needles to the front and slip the next stitch purlwise. Now, as an English knitter, you can hold the knitting, the yarn over the needle, but you don't have to. You can just leave it in the front, and then you're going to knit the following stitch. When you go to knit the following stitch, it is going to drop a yarn over that slip stitch. And your knitting would look like this. Here's my marker, knit one, here's my slip one and my yarn over, and then a knit one. Then it's yarn forward, slip, and knit. So you want to see these kind of, it almost looks like an X over the slip stitch.
Okay.
Yarn forward, slip, and knit. Darren, do you knit English or continental?
Continental.
Okay, so for continental, you're going to bring your right hand needle forward, put the right needle into that stitch so the working yarn is draped across it, and then slip that off the needle, catching the working yarn with it. So it comes off together, bring the needle to the back and knit. Bring the right hand needle forward as if to purl, put your needle in the next stitch, catching the working yarn, and slip them off the needle together, bringing it back to knit. Yarn forward, slip, needle back, and knit. And if you spread out your knitting, you want to see these slip-on yarn overs alternating with single knit stitches. The last stitch in this round is a slip-on yarn over. And that one's, once you've done the slip-on yarn over, I'll show you there's something extra I want you to do. Jackie, is it coming back?
Yes, this makes sense. Yes.
Oh, that's good. That's a start. The hands always remember something. Pam, how are you doing?
I'm getting there. I'm just trying to get my yarn around. The first row is sometimes harder.
Yeah, first
Yeah.
row is always a little tough. Stop when you're one stitch before the needle, before the beginning around marker, and you can either tell me or type done in the chat, whichever you prefer. And I have bulky yarn and fewer stitches, so don't feel like I'm speedy.
It's not a race though.
It's not a race, but people
Right?
always feel like she's done, she's done. No, less stitches, bigger yarn.
I always, when I've tried brioche in the past, I'm always concerned that the stitches, that yarn over piece, or that when you pull the yarn back to the back, is not neat. That X always I'm never sure where that X is supposed to appear.
So do you see how if I bring mine up close, you see how it's going over the stitch at a diagonal?
So it's going over the stitch, not over the
Yes.
slip stitch.
It's going over the slip stitch.
Over the slip stitch. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so here's my knit. And there's my
Right.
yarn over slip.
Got
So
it.
it's
Got it.
going over it, kind of like it's wearing a shawl.
Got it. That's cute.
I can't take credit for it. I think Nancy Marchant used that term.
Okay, I'm at my stitch.
Okay, so I'm gonna give the other people a moment to catch up, so we all
Yeah.
do it together.
Yep.
With brioche, is it similar to other designs where you should have either an even or odd number of stitches and multiples of anything special?
So it's a good question. So you need a multiple of 2. So in the round, you need a multiple of 2. If you're knitting flat, you'll need selvage stitches that will go on either side.
I'm
So
there.
For yarn
you're
over
there,
knit one, slip one, knit one, so I should
you
have,
want to end 1 stitch before the needle with a knit stitch on your right hand needle.
okay, so I should have knitted that stitch and I should have
Yeah.
1 stitch left.
1
Got
stitch
it.
left. Yep, yep.
Okay, I'm there.
So yeah, so in the round, you need a multiple of 2 because it's a ribbing.
Right,
It's basically a ribbing, and flat, usually there's a selvage stitch on either end. But again, that's up to the designer and how they work the stitch and how they want their edges. Is it in a sweater going into a seam? Is it a scarf? So,
got it. Just check my-
okay, so Diane's done, Pam's done.
I'm all set too.
Okay, Paulette, you're all set?
Yeah.
All right, Jackie, where are you?
I'm there.
Coming around the
Okay,
mountain.
I was gonna say that. All right. And Darren, are you all set?
You guys can go ahead. I was just not prepared yet. So,
Okay, no worries. No worries. There'll be some supportive videos coming to you after class anyway.
okay.
Okay, so that last stitch, and this is written in the pattern, you're still doing that yarn forward and slip, but because it's that last stitch, I want you to bring your yarn over that stitch and then around the stitch and to the front. So I fully wrapped that last stitch.
You do that one more time?
Of course. So here's my last stitch. I had been knitting, so my yarn was in the back. Bring my yarn through the needles to the front, slip that last stitch, and now I'm going to bring my yarn over the stitch, over the needle, and back around, and then through to the front. So think
Will
of
that
it
be
as
the-
if you, sorry,
Would
go
that
ahead,
be the
Darren.
same in continental?
Yes, so the continental. Yes, because it's where I want the yarn to be resting. So continental, I would still bring my yarn forward and slip and then around to the front.
Okay.
And then you would drop the main color and it'll just wait there until the next round. Okay, so now you're going to take your contrast color. And I like to tie it onto the tail just so it has some security. Okay, so I'll give you a moment to tie on the yarn. And I just tied it onto the tail of the main color.
Well, that seems harder than anything I've done.
No, come on. You can do it.
So I've never done that before. What a great idea. Look at that. Not only did I learn a new stitch, I'm learning something new.
Well, I've got to earn my keep. Okay, when you've got your yarn tied up, or tied on rather, we're on setup round contrast color, and we're going to start with a yarn forward, slip one yarn over. So I'm going to bring my contrast color through the needles to the front. And now my first stitch on the left needle is that knit stitch we started with. I'm going to slip that again purlwise. And then the yarn has to come around the needle again. So I'm going to go over the top, around and through to the front. So I'm in position to purl. So this is the same as you would do it if you were doing a yarn over on a knit stitch and then going into a purl. Now you
Right, so
have your,
Can you do
Go
that
ahead.
again for me, Pam? I'm
Sure.
so sorry.
that's okay, I don't mind. So here's my knit stitch. Put it back over here. I've brought my yarn forward, slip that knit stitch. Now I'm going to bring my yarn over that slip stitch, over that knit stitch and around the needle and to the front.
Okay.
So I
Got it.
fully wrapped that stitch. Now your next thing is going to be that slip stitch with its yarn over. We're going to
Yep.
do what's called a brioche purl, which is abbreviated BRP. So you're going to purl the slip stitch and the yarn over together. All right, so now you have a knit stitch. Your yarn is in front where we want it. Slip the knit stitch. Wrap your yarn around the slip stitch and back through to the front. So you're just getting one yarn over there. And then brioche purl the slip stitch yarn over unit that follows. If you come to a stitch that's supposed to be a slip stitch with a yarn over and you don't see the yarn over, let me know. So you should have something like this on your needles. The first thing we did was a slip one yarn over, and then a brioche purl, and a slip one yarn over, and a brioche purl. Does everybody's knitting look something like that?
It does. Amazingly, it does.
All right, I'll take it. I'll take it. So you're going to continue around, slipping your knit stitch, wrapping the yarn around the slip stitch around the needle, and brioche purl. All right, now I'll do a few in continental. So you're still slipping the stitch the same way, catching the working yarn across that stitch off the needle, but I'm not bringing my needle to the back because I'm going to purl. So I'm going to go into the slip stitch yarn over and purl them together. Yarns in front, go in purlwise into my knit stitch, slip it off the needle, catching it so it lays over the knit stitch, and brioche purl the slip stitch yarn over. The last stitch in this round is a brioche pearl. You can think of this as slip, wrap, brioche pearl.
So you feel that doing it in the round is easier than flat?
Yes, primarily because you don't have to go across each row twice.
Okay.
It's a little more fluid. Tell me.
How do, it looks like I have I have 2 stitches instead of that,
So you're missing a yarn over?
yeah, it looks like, yeah, but yeah, it looks like I have 2 stitches instead of a yarn over there.
So you have, so do you see 2 knits and then a yarn over?
2 knits. It doesn't look like 2 knits. Yeah, well, yes, it looks like 2 knits.
Okay, so it looks like 2 knits. And what's after, so what's on your right hand needle?
I just slipped a knit stitch onto my right hand needle,
Okay,
and then it looks like 2 knits there instead of,
okay.
see, the next one
Okay,
looks right.
so, okay, so the next stitch should be your brioche pearl and you don't see a yarn over.
Correct.
Okay, and then the following stitch is another knit stitch.
Correct.
Okay, so it could be, so that means that your yarn over, it has to be there because the yarn is all connected.
Right.
So I want you to look behind your knitting and see if there's a loose
A
strand
loose
behind.
strand. You're right. I found it.
Okay, so you're just gonna pick that up and put it over that knit stitch so it looks angled the same way it is as its neighbors that follow it.
All right. Okay. Here, wait a minute, Paulette. Yep, I got you.
Okay,
I got you what I'm supposed to be doing, is what I'm saying.
okay, okay.
So Brioche Pearl in the front, slip the knit stitch, and Brioche Pearl. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Well done, you just fixed your first mistake.
Hey, you don't, if you don't make them, you never learn how to fix them.
Well, I think of mistakes as a good news, bad news. You know, the bad
Right.
news is you make mistakes. The good news is you make mistakes. Because then, you know, you get good at the mistakes and then you learn new mistakes or make new mistakes.
I always use the explanation that when I learned how to ski, the first thing we learned was how to get up,
Right.
because
I
they were sure you were going to fall.
well, there's no question you were going to fall.
Exactly. first thing they teach you in motorcycle safety is how to pick up the motorcycle,
Makes sense.
as opposed to how to ride it.
Got it. Well, got to start somewhere, right?
Yep.
When you get to the end of the round, let me know. Your last stitch should be a brioche pearl. Darren, have you done brioche before or tried it before?
I have not done it, no.
Okay.
I'm talking to myself.
Well, I think we all do that.
I'm at my last stitch.
Okay, your last stitch should be a brioche pearl.
It is.
Perfect. Okay, so let's pause there and give the other ladies a moment, and then we'll go on to the main color round. One of the things I like about Zoom is getting to see people's pets. I see your cat, Darren,
Meowing at me like, what are you doing?
right?
Right?
I have a dog, so at best he'll sit at my feet or bark in the vicinity, but I've done Zoom classes when I've been at my daughter's house and the cats are meandering all through, and my mock studio setups and, you know, peering over lights and stuff. It's quite a different arrangement.
So
Yeah,
I got
last
to my
night-
last,
Oh,
I
sorry,
got to
go
my
ahead.
last stitch, but it was not a brioche pearl.
All right, so what's the last thing you did on your right hand needle?
Well, a brioche pearl.
It was, okay, so what's the first stitch after the marker? Is it a thing, is it
It looks like, trying to look, see if it looks like yours. It looks like your second stitch
looks like my second stitch?
or your first, I'm sorry, yeah, that one.
So
Yes.
is the, on that last stitch, is it your contrast color over the stitch or is it your main color over the
My
stitch?
contrast color.
Okay, so Pam, you're gonna have to go back across the round and see if you work something together. So when you read your row, you're looking for a slip one yarn over and then a single contrast, slip one yarn over, single contrast, and see if you
Okay.
can find where you went awry.
Yep.
Okay, so,
Oh,
so
In the
now I have
very
a
beginning, I did it in the very beginning. Okay.
So I'm confused now because I thought yes, you have two stitches up. No. Okay.
No,
I did
there's
it
no
right.
marker in between.
Shoot. Shoot. Okay. I did it right. Phew.
Okay, so Pam, you did yours in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let me see.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, you want to hold it up, turn it around so I see it as if you were looking at it. That's good. Okay, so I see your slip one yarn over.
I think this is where I went wrong, like right there.
No, I'm seeing every
Oh.
other there. That looks okay. You should, it would be if you.
That
That's a
shouldn't
slip
be,
one.
but, oh, no, that is
No,
right.
no, that's
isn't it?
right. That's right.
Yeah,
It'd be, you want to see every other, a slip one yarn
Okay,
over and a knit and a slip one yarn over and see if you
Yep.
find where that is.
okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna get the other ladies going on the next round and then I'll come back and help you, Pam.
Okay,
All right, so that last stitch was a brioche pearl. And right now you have both your main color and your contrast color in the front.
Correct.
I want you to take your main color and bring it through the needles to the back, not over, but through. Okay, and that is in the pattern. Then you're gonna slip your marker. And now we're gonna do round 1 with your main color. So we just finished doing brioche pearls, BRP. Now we're gonna do brioche knits, which is BRK. So your first stitch we see here is a contrast color over your main color, and you're gonna knit them together. Okay. And then you're gonna bring your yarn through the needles to the front and slip that next stitch. Then you can just hold your yarn in front and do your brioche knit.
Oh,
Yarn
something's
flow.
not right.
Okay, tell me.
Let me see the first stitch was fine. And then why do I have a yarn over? I have 2 of my contrast color. I don't know what I did there.
You have 2 contrast color,
Yeah,
so 2 contrast pearls.
together. I have 2 contrast colors together and then a pearl. I don't know what that is.
Let's see. Okay, 1 second.
Wait, let me get this
Spotlight.
here.
Yeah, okay. Hold it up a little higher. Okay, so am I looking at it the way you would see it?
Yes, I turned it to face you.
Okay, okay, I see what you mean. So I don't see any slips. I see them a couple stitches in. So it's that first stitch. Okay, did you knit the first stitch with the contrast color rather than slip?
I could have been. Only goodness knows. No, oh. Here? This one?
Okay, so that's your,
That's my main color.
okay, that's your main color. Okay,
I can take that stitch off.
so wait a minute. So that was your first stitch was a brioche knit. Did you do the brioche knit already?
I did.
Okay, and then the next stitch is a single purl stitch of your contrast?
It looks like a brioche. It looks like the brioche yarn over right there.
Are you sure the yarn over isn't coming from the following stitch?
From the following stitch. Hold on a minute. Let me see. Okay, let me go back here. So this was my first stitch.
So you had a brioche knit, and then that should be followed by a purl stitch in your contrast color.
A brioche knit. Wait a minute now. I think this is just the knotted. I don't know.
Oh, it's the knotted tails from
It
from
could
joining?
be the knotted tail. That's what but we knotted the tail and then we did a yarn over, didn't we? Or
Correct,
yeah.
correct.
So that's the yarn over. But there's no purl there.
The second
Whoa.
stitch isn't a purl?
No.
Okay, so, all right, so I see that first stitch. Isn't that its yarn over right next to it?
This is the yarn over.
And there's your knit stitch, right?
I haven't done it yet.
Okay, that's fine, but that one's ready to be knit.
Correct. And then see the
So,
next one
and then,
I have 2 of the same color.
I see that. So maybe you just made an extra yarn over.
I could have. All right.
If
So
you if it looks like an extra yarn over, you can slip it off the needle.
all right. All right. So let me do my brioche knit with my main color. Oh, I had to bring my yarn over between the 2 and in the back. Should I?
To make it, here, let me go over there.
Okay, so when I start this row, I had the two colors in the front. I'm bringing my main color to the back
Correct, main color to the back,
and then.
and then
knit
you would be doing a knit with your contrast color and your main color knit stitch.
Right, but the yarn is in the back.
Correct.
Okay, all right. All right, good. So then I do my yarn over or my yarn forward.
Yarn forward and slip. And then a brioche knit. What I'm wondering is maybe you made an extra yarn over on the previous round.
Yes, which is what I think I did.
Okay,
All right, so this is what I'm gonna do. Because then the next stitch is the next stitch and knit? No.
well, I didn't know where you, what's on your right hand needle?
Keep going. I'll figure it out. Don't hold
Okay,
back for me.
all right,
Don't hold back
all
for me.
right.
I'll figure it out.
Okay, Jackie, where are you at? Did you have any trouble?
Okay, so I just kind of stopped when you said um, don't bring the yarn to the back to do the knit.
No, you have to bring the yarn to the back to do a knit.
So if I'm doing this continental, that yarn has got to come to the back to do the brioche knit and then come forward again, correct?
Correct, correct. I'll do that with you.
Okay, then I'm fine.
Okay, all right. And Diane, how are you doing?
I'm at the last stitch.
Okay, the infamous last stitch. Okay,
Yes. So what do I
all
do?
right. Okay, I will show
Sorry.
you.
I'm ahead of everybody, so.
That's okay. All right, so at the end of your, let me just see if this is it. Okay, one sec.
Oh. So we have to
Okay.
do that.
So nope, that's not the right piece of knitting. Sorry about that. It's this one. Okay. Okay, so when you get to the end of that round, you have a knit stitch.
Yes.
Your contrast colors in front, there's your last stitch. So you're going to bring your yarn through the needles to the front,
Okay,
slip that last stitch, and then bring the yarn over that slipped stitch around the needle and to the front.
okay,
So you fully wrap that stitch.
all right,
Okay, slip your marker. Leave your contrast color in front. Leave your main color in front, pick up your contrast color. And now you're gonna do your round 2, which is your brioche pearl round, which is the same as what the setup was. So you're picking up your contrast, slip the knit stitch, wrap the yarn around the needle and through to the front, and then brioche pearl the slip stitch yarn over unit. Slip the knit stitch, bring the yarn round the needle to the front, and brioche pearl.
I'm coming, Ben.
What?
I'm talking to my dog.
Oh. Pam, did you figure out what was what?
Well, I think that I think there was just an extra loop at the end of,
Okay,
because I don't find any mistakes. And I
Okay.
don't think that was a stitch. So I think I could do the knit round.
okay. Okay, so you're ready to do the knit round?
I believe so. Give
Okay.
it a shot.
All right, let's do that. So
So
for
I
the
ended
knit
with,
round,
I ended with the brioche pearl.
right? So let's pretend this is my beginning around.
Yeah,
You're bringing your your yarn through the needles to the back. Your
and
main
this is
color
gonna
through.
be the main color now?
Yes, this is the
going-
main color.
Main color, okay, yep,
Okay, so you're gonna bring your main color from the front through the needles to the back.
okay,
And now your next stitch has a contrast color over your main color. Right?
correct, yes.
Okay, you're going to knit those together. That's a brioche knit or a BRK or a bark. Then bring your
Okay.
yarn through the needles to the front and slip the purl stitch
Yep,
and brioche knit the slip stitch yarn over unit that follows. Bring your yarn forward and slip and brioche knit the slip stitch yarn over unit. And this is the round that ends with a slip one yarn over.
so I'm not even connected now.
Seems like less motion in the Continental.
Much
Wow.
less motion. It's much, I'm sorry, English ladies, it's much easier continental.
Oh. That would be why, okay, so main color. In front. Slip.
All right, when you get to that last stitch on this round, on the, for those of you on the round one, let me know and I'll do that last stitch with you. Darren, did you make your sweater?
I did. Yes.
Very nice. What's the
Thank you.
pattern?
Candy Skulls, I think it was called.
Oh, cool.
And it's on Ravelry.
Very cool. Paulette, you sort yourself out?
No, but I'll figure it out. I
Okay.
made a mistake. It wasn't in the beginning. Actually, the beginning was right. It was
Mhm.
further, and then I came across a real mistake back here and I'm trying to figure out what I did.
Okay. All
So
right. If there's anything
I'll get it.
okay. And if there's anything I can help you with, just let me know. I'd be happy to take a look.
Yeah. It's not the arrow, it's the Indian.
I don't think I've ever heard that expression before.
So I'm slipping the main color. Then I'm
If you're-
knitting the other.
Which round are you?
I'm on the knit
Yes.
round. I'm slipping
Yes, you're
the main
slipping the,
color.
no, if you're on the, are you, what color, what yarn are you working with?
I'm working with my main color.
then you are slipping the contrast color and knitting the slip stitch yarn over together.
I'm slipping the contrast color.
And that the contrast color gets its yarn over.
Okay, so when you're doing the yarn over for the contrast color, are you going completely around the needle?
Yes,
Okay,
just
And
one
then you-
time though. Wait, which round are you on?
the same one Paulette's on.
Well, it's on the knit round. Okay, so,
Right, so you're slipping the contrast.
right, so you're slipping the contrast. Okay,
Yep,
you don't have to bring the yarn over. It's not coming all around and through. Okay. So you can either hold it over the slip stitch and then knit,
oh, okay,
or you can bring it forward, just leave it there, slip, and when you knit the slip stitch yarn over, you're automatically making a yarn over because your yarn is coming from the front over the needle to the back.
okay,
So it's kind of, on that one, it's a comfort thing. Sometimes people who knit English don't like just leaving the yarn in front and then knitting. They feel better holding it over the stitch, but
Yep.
it's unnecessary. But if it works for you, then do it that way.
okay.
Okay, Diane, tell me where you're at.
I'm on the last stitch of the contrasting pearl, and it's the slip one wrap, so I
Okay,
knit,
so
it's,
you're on the last, so you just did a brioche knit?
yeah, yes, I just did the brioche
Okay, for some reason
with
I
my
chose,
contrasting color.
wait, no, if you did the contrast color, is the contrast color what you've been working with
Yes,
or the main color?
no, I'm working with the contrast color. I
Okay,
did-
so then you ended, your last stitch should be a brioche pearl,
Okay, and it's two together.
correct?
All right,
Okay, good. Well, then if you, last stitch was a brioche pearl. See which knitting I'm picking up. Okay, if your last was the brioche pearl, you're gonna bring your main color through the needle to the back,
okay,
leave the contrast in the front. And you're gonna go back and do round one with the brioche knit.
okay, so,
So you're starting off, you should have the slip one yarn over
right.
as your next stitch. So you're going to knit that together.
And
And then yarn through the needles to the front, slip, and brioche knit. Is that working for you?
it is working for me.
That's a beautiful thing. All right, Jackie, you've been very quiet. How are you doing?
I
Look,
know
we-
you're gonna ask me where I ended up and I'm trying to decide what I'm gonna answer.
It's not,
That's where I'm at.
it's not multiple choice.
Well, I don't know about that.
All right, so what's the last thing you did on your right-hand needle?
Okay, so what I have is a
Okay, let's go back further. What yarn have you, what color have you been working with? The main or the contrast?
I did I think it was the contrast because I did the brioche knit, the knit round.
If you did the knit round, you were using your main color.
Oh, yes, I was actually. You see?
Okay, all right, see, we're getting somewhere. So you were using your main color, you were on a round one. So are
Okay.
you at the last stitch of the round?
Yeah,
Okay, so on the last stitch of the round, was the last thing you did a knit?
yes.
Okay, and you have one stitch before your marker?
Yes.
Perfect. So look up at the screen for a moment. You're gonna do the last yarn forward, slip one yarn over. So you're gonna bring your yarn, hang on, let me continental with you. Bring your yarn forward, slip that last stitch, and then you have to bring the yarn around the needle to the front and then
I'm-
drop,
I'm using the main color yet, or the,
correct? Yes, main
Okay.
color still. We're finishing the round. So you have
Okay.
to, that yarn has to go over the needle and back through to the front, the main color. So when you're done, the contrast and the main color are both in the front.
okay.
How'd that go?
But shouldn't. Okay. Hmm. The stitch that was before is the same, is the main color.
The stitch that was before the one we just did?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay, why don't you hold it up to me?
I think, okay, I think all the rest of these are correct. I'm just looking. So after the marker, my next stitch should be a single main color stitch,
Correct.
and it is.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Okay,
That's what we want.
okay,
Okay.
because
But
I'm
you
gonna
get-
then
But
use
you can,
the
you get points
contrast.
for puzzling it out.
Okay.
You do. No, seriously, you
Great.
do. You
Great.
do. Absolutely. So now you have both your contrast and your main color in the front. You're
Yeah,
going to drop your main color, set it aside, pick up your contrast,
okay,
and do round 2, which is a brioche pearl
Pearl.
round.
okay,
Okay, so that first stitch, that knit stitch,
Okay.
is a slip one yarn over.
so I'm wrapping that first one and
You're
then,
wrapping that first one and
Okay.
then brioche purling the slip stitch yarn over that follows.
okay, that can happen.
That's, I'm glad that can happen.
Hey,
All
Pam,
right.
Yes.
Pam Grushkin.
Yes,
I should say teacher.
yes,
At the end of the knit round,
yes.
the last stitch I have, I just did my, hold on a minute now, Paulette. Okay, so I slipped my purl stitch
Right.
and then I knit the brioche. And what should I have left to do here?
At the end of the knit round,
Yeah,
with the main color, you should have a slip one yarn over to do last.
you're right. You're
Almost
right.
like it's almost like I wrote the pattern.
All right,
It's-
all right.
so-
End round, end. Round one. Slip and a yarn over, which is written on the pattern, but that's how I
Correct.
see
That's
things.
okay. No, mark it up, make it
And
yours.
bring it back, and then bring the yarn to the front.
Correct, around the needle and through to the front. Drop it and pick up your contrast color.
Right.
Slip your marker. So this is where I want to make sure you're only making one yarn over.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm picking up my contrast,
Right.
slipping my knit stitch. I'm just going once round the needle and to the front.
Correct. Around the needle to
And-
the front.
And then
And then I'm-
brioche pearl, the slip stitch yarn over unit that follows.
Right. And then slip,
Slip, wrap,
yarn, wrap,
And brioche
and
pearl.
pearl, not knit, Paulette, pearl.
correct, correct. After another round or so, you're gonna see clear knit and pearl columns, so that won't be a thing.
Slip, wrap, and
Pearl.
pearl.
All right. Diane, where are you?
I am starting round 2.
Okay, so that's just where we were. Did you make your
So-
transition okay at the end of the knit round?
I did. Now do I yarn over with my contrasting color?
Yes, ma'am. Yep, that's exactly
And-
what you do.
Then I slip the stitch and then I
Yeah.
brioche pearl.
Right, so you bring your yarn was in front. So you're slipping that knit stitch, wrapping your yarn around the needle, and then brioche pearl, the slip stitch yarn over unit. Slip your knit, wrap it, and brioche pearl. So I just want to show you, I have a mistake in here. My next stitch is supposed to be a brioche pearl. But if you notice, I don't have a yarn over. If I look at its neighbor over here, there's a yarn over, but I don't have one here, which means I did my yarn over incorrectly on the previous row. But the yarn over always has to be there because your yarn is connected from stitch to stitch. So it's either going to be in back like it was with Paulette's earlier, or it's going to be in front. So that means I have to take my needle and look because I should not have two purl bumps here.
Right.
But there it is. So the goal in any mistake is to make the one with the mistake look like its neighbors. So I have to get this strand over that stitch. So I'm going to pick that stitch up and then go under that errant yarn over. So I've picked it up and then I'm going to slip it back onto the needle. And now it looks like it's neighbors and I can keep going. So this is the easiest mistake to make and fix if you catch it on the next round. And when you get comfortable with brioche, it becomes a little mindless, and that's when we get in trouble. So you know how I keep saying to you, tell me if you don't see a yarn over. When you're doing your brioche stitch, you want to look for an angled yarn over that you're working with.
Mm-hmm.
Don't take two upright stitches. If I take two upright stitches, I've now thrown my stitch off, my rib stitch off, and that's a lot harder to fix as a newbie. Okay, so you always want to look for a slanted yarn over that you're working for your brioche knit or pearl.
Wow, I stopped and watched and was able to figure out where I was.
Yes, I like when that happens. All right, Jackie, how's it going?
It's going fine. And
Good.
if this is true confessions, I did fix one like that. So
That's
Yeah.
excellent.
it put me back on track. So I guess that was
Excellent.
Good.
You know, I find when we learn new things, we forget that we do have an idea of what we're doing, so we kind of draw a
Mhm.
blank. And if you just look at your stitches and see how they differ from the other ones, and you can always use locking stitch markers to clip strands together if you're afraid you're going to lose somebody while you manipulate your knitting to see what should be where. Darren, get some stitches on the needle. Come play with us.
I have them on the needle. I just don't know how to start.
Well, why don't we do
I
that?
don't-
They're all they're knitting merrily along. Let's do that. Okay, so you have your cast on stitches?
Hang on, I screwed that up already. I think I lost count already.
Lost count of your cast on?
Yeah, hang on.
No worries, take your time.
Okay.
Okay, you good?
Yep.
Okay, so orient your stitches so that your cast on edge is on the interior and your loops are on the needle.
Yep.
Place your marker on the right hand needle.
So you don't do that magic
You
joining?
can the jogless join.
Yeah.
You can. I don't teach it because then I get people caught up short in doing the jogless join. But you can. So if we were to do that, there's two different ways to do it. You could either cast on an extra stitch and slip it over, or you can make your first and last stitch trade places.
Yeah, that's how I normally the first and last
Yeah.
trade.
Totally fine. I'm good either way. It's just I find that then people are stuck on that and I can't get them doing brioche. So
Okay.
I pick my battles, but I do like to do that as well. Okay, so now we're joined. We're joined because we did the jogless thing.
Yeah.
So round, set up round, you're gonna knit the first stitch. And then you're gonna do yarn forward, slip one yarn over. You might need to pull your tail after doing that. And then knit. Bring the needle forward, go into the next stitch purlwise, catch your working yarn and bring it off as you bring the needle to the back to knit. Forward and slip, yarn and needle to the back and knit.
So it's basically knit and then flip with the yarn
Exactly
over.
right. Yep. It's knit, yarn forward, and slip. So you make that yarn over and repeat. Knit, yarn forward, and slip. Knit, yarn forward, and slip. So you want to see, when you look back at your stitches that you've just done, you want to see single knit stitches and then a slip stitch with the yarn over.
So it's like an X.
Yes, exactly right. It's like an X. Okay, tell me when you get to that last stitch. Diane, how are you doing?
I am starting round 1 with my
Okay.
main color.
Perfect. So what are you going to do?
I am gonna bring my main color to the back and knit my first stitch.
Which is the slip stitch and the yarn over.
right, and then I'm gonna
Perfect.
stitch the next one.
Perfect. Bring your yarn forward and slip. Paulette, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm almost to the end of a round here.
Excellent. Good stuff. All right, Pam, how are you doing?
I'm back with Darren.
Okay, that's fine.
Because, and the reason is, I held it up and noticed that my first row was disconnected from the cast on. So I thought,
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know what I did there, but I'm just gonna start again because I really
I
don't
had-
think there's fixing that, so.
I
No.
had that at first and I wound up going back and joining my row, joining my work in the round the way I used to do it because that was a whole new way for me.
All right, well, so are you exactly in the same place, Pam, or,
I just finished casting on.
okay, all right, you let me know if I can help you with anything.
Yeah.
All right, and Jackie, you know I'm gonna ask you next.
I have an answer ready this time.
All right, what's your answer?
My answer is I just did another round and I'm ready to switch and do brioche knit round.
Okay,
And so is it always that both of the yarns are in the front and then you
yes,
just, okay. Okay,
yes,
this is
exactly
good.
right.
I'm happy.
And we
I'm
start
happy
by,
to,
we start by bringing that main, when we're doing a knit round, we start by bringing the main color to the back
that's correct,
and knitting that first brioche stitch, correct?
correct, that's correct.
Okay. And then we bring the yarn forward.
Correct.
Whoa. By Jove.
Mhm.
What does it mean when you have to recount your stitches 7 times?
Well, that you don't trust that you can count. So that is a good question though, to as a segue for me. When you're counting brioche stitches, the slip stitch yarn over unit is 1 stitch. Okay, so if you were counting your stitches on the needle, and I started here with the slip 1 yarn over, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. Because you can see below, I just have 1 stitch stemming down from that bark stitch.
Okay.
Okay, and if you were counting rounds, now in this pattern, we don't count rounds, but if a pattern was going to count rounds, you would count your knit stitches as a round because it takes 2 rounds to fully work every stitch. Because think about it, we're slipping every other stitch, so we're not working every other stitch till we've done 2 rounds. Does that make sense?
It does, yep.
Okay, so if I were counting this, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rounds done.
Okay, so I'm starting my setup round again.
Okay.
And I should be joining with a knit stitch, correct?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay,
And will the last stitch be a knit?
Not on
The first,
the first round.
yeah,
Okay. You guys are making me jump through a few hoops here.
that's okay.
Hang
oh,
on.
sorry.
No, I'm
in
teasing.
no
I'm
rush.
teasing. I'm teasing. It's totally fine. So when you get to that last stitch, your last stitch on the right-hand needle would be a knit, and your next stitch here has to be a slip 1 yarn over. So
Hmm.
you're going to bring your yarn through the needles to the front, like you've been doing, slip that last stitch, and then bring your yarn over the needle and around and through to the front.
I screwed up somewhere, so
Okay, so,
I didn't end on the right one.
okay, so then go back to your marker, Darren, and
Yeah.
read your stitches. And you want to see a knit and a slip 1 yarn over, and a knit and a slip 1 yarn over. Pam, are you good with what you're doing?
Yes, so so the setup round, knit 1, yarn in front, slip 1,
And then knit 1, yarn in front, slip 1. Hang on, I'll do it for you.
yep, okay.
Is that like that? All right.
I'm not seeing you.
I know, I have to fix it. I have to fix
Oh,
what I had
okay.
on the needle. No,
I was
I
gonna
realized that. I just had to fix what I had on the needle. It was
No, that's fine.
tangled. Some reason that last loop got messed up. Nope, I know why. Maybe that's why. Okay, this part came undone, so I can't do it as well. So you're gonna do a knit, and then you're gonna bring your yarn through the needles to the front, slip, and then when you go and knit your next stitch, it's gonna bring that yarn over and lay it down.
Okay,
So it's knit, yarn forward, slip, and then when you knit the following stitch, it lays the yarn over.
okay.
I'm so proud I finished it and it worked out right on the row.
That's awesome. It's great. It really is. Okay, so I did that one. All right, so I want to do another, do it with this one, mistake with you. Okay, so we talked about that yarn over if it was in the front on a purl stitch. So if you were missing your knit stitch, again, it's either going to be in the front or the back. It's more likely going to be in the front, but I'm going to do both. So if you don't see your slanted yarn over, look behind, and you may have to move things around a little bit. You don't want to see two purl bumps. One of the strands is going to be looser than the other. You're going to pick that up and put it on the needle so it looks like its neighbors. If it's in the front and it looks like this, what I like to do is go under the ladder and into the stitch and then do my brioche knit and come through both. How's it going, Pam?
Good, good. So
Good.
that first row is always,
Yep,
slower.
it's always slower.
but yeah, I've got it. I've got that
Okay.
part pretty well. I think I've got
Okay.
the other part too. It's just when I noticed that had happened, I thought, well, I'm not gonna keep going.
Smart, because it's not gonna fix itself.
No.
A lot of talking to myself.
I get that.
Oh, that's just you, Paulette.
I always have to have somebody to talk to, and if it's just me, I'm good with that.
At least you know you're in good company, right?
Right? Exactly.
Exactly. And as long as when you're talking to yourself, you don't say what back to yourself.
Right? What did I do there? Something I did. Something I did. Something wicked this way comes. That. Go around. Two. think that's what I did right there. Nope.
So Pam, is this at all similar to double knitting?
In that you're working every other stitch once, and then the stitches you missed the first time.
Okay,
But with double knitting, you get like a pocket of knit of fabric.
right, right.
So you don't get that pocket here. This is all it's just fluffy.
It's not as
it's-
thick. Yeah.
It's not as thick, and there's no pocket of knitting that you get with double knitting.
Right. But the double knitting can also be a reversible look.
Yes,
I
and
guess
I
it depends on
love
what you do.
absolutely. Do you do double knitting, or you just have seen it?
Well, I've done it not on needles, I've done it on the board, and made a very pretty scarf, but that whole concept is very intriguing to me. That reversible thing, so as.
I
I've seen-
agree.
Yeah,
It intrigues me. I've taken classes in it, but it hasn't grabbed me enough to knit something with it.
yeah,
But the brioche, I
Okay.
love. That I
Yeah.
do. Always have something brioche going.
okay, so my last stitch on that setup round
Mhm.
should be,
Aha.
A slip one yarn over. So you would have a knit stitch on your right hand needle,
yep,
and then one stitch before your marker.
yep,
Bring your yarn through the needles to the front, slip that last stitch,
yep,
and then wrap your yarn around that stitch, around the needle, and back through to the front.
okay,
Okay?
I'm there. Way,
All right,
yay.
excellent. All right, then you're going to slip your marker, tie on your contrast color.
Okay,
There you are, you little son of a gun. Oh, sorry. Sorry.
No, that's all right. I think it's great.
I dropped a stitch.
That's not fun.
No. No, it is not. I might have to.
So you
back.
dropped a stitch and it's unraveled.
Yeah.
So you're seeing multicolor ladders.
Yeah. Well, what I'm seeing is all main color ladders with my cute little drop
Let me see.
stitch.
Hang on, I want to take a look at it. Let me just spotlight you. Okay, let's see.
See my
All
drop
right.
stitch there?
I see your drop stitch there. So, okay, but that's, okay, we can fix that. There's one blue ladder behind it.
Yep.
Okay, so hold your knitting so that the knit side of that contrast color is facing you.
Yeah.
Because it's always easier to fix it as a knit versus
Yep.
a purl. Okay, so am I doing this? Yes. So what you're seeing right now, are you on a brioche knit or purl row?
I'm on a pearl. Wait. Yeah, I'm on a pearl row.
Okay, so let me do it with this one. Okay, so your contrast color, you're on a purl row, brioche pearl row. So is it already a purl that you did?
No.
Okay, so you're using your contrast color yarn on this round.
I am.
Okay, so you're going to turn it around to that side. So you see something like this. Right?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. So what you're gonna do is take the lowest contrast, main color ladder and put it behind the stitch on the needle. So here's my drop stitch. I picked up this ladder that was hanging from behind. And then I'm gonna take the contrast color that matches this one and put it
Mhm.
on the needle behind it. Okay, so it's like a sandwich.
Yep.
Take your finger and thumb or your needle and take the first two strands and pull it up and over the third without splitting it like I did. Okay, so that fixed the stitch, and then we have one more ladder to put on there because we're on a brioche pearl round.
Oh, okay. I should be able to manage that.
All right, so I'll take that out again, just in case you want to see it.
I do.
Okay, so I'm taking the lowest main color ladder, putting it on the needle behind my drop stitch. Then I'm taking the contrast color strand ladder and putting it behind. Take your needle and take the first two, which is my slip stitch and my yarn over. And this would have been the stitch that worked it together, and I'm going to pull it through. And that recreated the stitch.
Okay.
And then you have to put the last yarn over on. So it's ready to be brioche pearled.
See if I can do that like you did it.
And so the brioche pearl is slip wrap pearl.
Correct. You got it. Well done. Darren, did you figure out what happened?
Yep, I redid it. So I'm
Okay.
at the join the contrast color.
Okay, I have that right here. Okay, so you all tied on?
Yep.
All right,
Yep.
perfect. So now we're on contrast setup round. You're going to bring that contrast color through the needles to the front. The first stitch we have after the marker is a knit stitch. So you're going to slip that knit stitch, grabbing your contrast color with it, take it off, but then you have to bring your contrast color through to the front so you can brioche pearl the slip stitch yarn over together. My needle and my yarn, everybody stays in front on this round. Going into the knit stitch, slipping it. So I'm making that yarn over, and then brioche pearl the slip stitch yarn over unit.
So the first stitch is not a knit. It's a
The
pearl.
first stitch is not a knit, it's a slip.
Like I've been doing, like the slip.
The
with
same way you've been doing the slip, but now you're going into a brioche pearl rather than a knit.
So it slips the
So-
first one with the contrast color over the top of it.
Correct. So if this was my first stitch, I'm going to slip with the contrast over it and then bring the yarn keep through to the
Okay.
front and do a brioche pearl.
with the two.
Correct.
Okay.
All right. Diane, how are you doing?
I found a mistake and I'm trying to fix it.
All
I
right, let me
dropped a
see it.
stitch.
Okay, let's see. Where are
Okay.
you? There you are. Okay, let's see.
It's right there.
Okay, so it's a drop stitch.
It looks like I dropped a yarn over and then I ended up trying to fix it. And
Okay,
then
so that's all right. You get points for trying. Hold it up a little higher for me.
can you
Okay,
see it
so
now?
a little lower now.
Mm.
There we go. Perfect. Okay, so it's a main color stitch. All right, so does the main color stitch have a light color coming through it?
The main color is the green, is the light
main
color.
The main color is the light color. Okay.
Yes.
So, and your contrast color is what, like a blue or something, or a
A
purple?
purple. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, okay, so that's the wrong side of the cowl, so to speak. So the knit side of your purple, right? So it's the knit column of your purple that
Yeah.
I'm looking at. Okay. Let's see if we can fix that together. So you're what round, turn it around to the right. So you're looking at it normal. And what round are you on?
All right. I am on the contrasting color round, so I'm on
Okay.
round 2.
Okay, so this is what I was doing with Paulette a moment ago. So I'm going to turn it to the wrong side.
Okay, so turn it.
So you're looking at your purple columns where you see my green ones.
Yep.
Okay.
My purple column is the one that's all messed up here.
Okay, so is it messed up going down? Is there stuff wrong with it going down, or is it just a drop stitch at the top?
Well, what I think I did was drop a stitch, and then now I've got a couple that are dropped now because I just tried fixing it.
So one stitch has dropped a few levels.
There. All right, so I've got, I would say yes.
Okay, so
Because I got 2 green ladders.
okay, so okay, so let's see. You've got 2 of your green ladders. Okay, so does it look, so do you have two green and 2 purple ladders?
Yes.
Okay, so put your purple on the right-hand needle.
Okay.
Okay, when you look behind it, you'll see your green net below it, like you see mine, you see the 2 colors.
Yeah.
Okay, take the next loose ladder that's green and put it behind the purple.
Okay.
Now take the nearest purple and put it behind the green.
Okay.
Take your left needle and pull the first 2 over the third. So you see what I've got? That was my dropped. That was the ladder we put on. And then here's the same color purple. And I'm going to pull the first 2 over the third.
Okay. I got it.
All right. Remember to breathe.
All right.
All right. So now you have another green ladder behind it.
Yes,
Put that behind the stitch on the right-hand needle.
okay,
Put the purple ladder that's lurking about behind that. And then do the same thing, take the first and second over the third.
here. Okay, I'm trying to.
This is really funny.
Yes,
So your knit rows are always your main color
correct.
in this case.
Yes.
That's why, stupid, you're purling.
All right.
Now that's a little harsh. You weren't brioching it out 2 hours ago. There's no reason to take that tone.
All right, let's see what we did here. All right. Okay.
All right. It's
Yes?
fixed.
All right.
Oh.
Now I was holding my breath that time. Well done. So that's the mistake you want to try and avoid, but you did it. So that's really great.
Now I have an idea how to fix it. I'm gonna try to.
Well,
avoid that
right.
again.
So what you have to remember when you're fixing it is that brioche is knit in layers. So if you're picking up a drop stitch, you have to replace the layers. So that's what we're doing when I took it out. And I don't recommend
Oh.
trying this unless you have to, is that you want to figure out, okay, if this was my last brioche knit stitch, then it needed a yarn over on the next round. And then after that, it needed to be brioche knit. So that would be this one coming through those. And then you look behind and see if there's more ladders. So that's my slip, that's my yarn over. This is my bark. And then you want to look and see how you have these arches. They have their own pattern and you want to make sure that they're not twisted. If you picked up the wrong ladder, you know, like when you pick up a regular drop stitch, if you pick up the ladders out of sequence, it
Yep.
upsets the whole thing. So it's the same concept with this. So I want to show you one more thing before we part company tonight. Have any of you or used Lifelines before?
I did today.
You did today. Okay, excellent. Jackie and
No.
Pam, have you used Lifelines? No,
Yes,
Diane?
Yes.
with
Okay.
lace.
Okay, same concept. So you would do this after you finished a round 2 and spare yarn. Let's see over here. Okay, sorry about that. Take yarn that's a little thinner, smooth, and a different color. Thread a tapestry needle, and you're going to run it through the stitches on the needle, taking care not to split your yarn. And you're going to go through all the stitches, not your stitch marker, catching the yarn. See how I'm catching the yarn over as well?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, go all the way around to the beginning. And you can make sure that it's not pulled too tight. and you can knot it. So you would do that if you knew everything below here is right. Then you can keep knitting, and you know, if you make a mistake and you try and fix it and it just becomes a mess, you can literally take it off the needle. So here's a lifeline I put in earlier. You can literally take it off the needles and rip it back, and know that your lifeline was in a round 2. So when you get it back on the needles, you know you're on a round 1. And it won't unravel past your lifeline. A little tangled here. There we go. So I can just pull this out. And I'm pulling them at the same time. It doesn't matter because they're going to stop when I get to my lifeline. Okay, see, now it won't go any further. I'm tugging, and it won't go any further. And you'd have your knot, mine's moved because this is my sample, but you'd have your knot where your beginning of round is. If you were concerned that you weren't going to find your beginning of round, you can put a marker there. So you have like a destination. Then you would take your needle and go into each of these purlwise. So I've got my single stitch, and I get my slip-on yarn over, and my knit stitch, and my slip-on yarn over, and you would replace them all back on the needle. And then keep going. Okay, so that gives you a little bit of insurance. If you know everything is good, you can put that in, and then you can keep knitting, and you can put the lifeline in as frequently or infrequently as you want. Okay, the only lifeline I ever regret is the one I don't put in. Okay, so, you know, and you can say to me, well, how often should I put it in? You know, one person may put it in every 2 rows. Another person may put it in every 2 inches. It really is, what is your pain point of how far you don't want to rip back? Okay.
So,
And-
but after you've done a round 2?
Correct. And I say that because at the end of round 2, we end with a burp, and we don't have to deal with that last yarn over at the end of the main color round, which just, to me, just seems more, adds a little more clumsiness to the process.
Okay.
Okay. So, you know, I would say you could put them in, you know, if you're good after tonight's knitting, you could put it in. And that way, you know, all's right with the world. And then you keep knitting. And when you say get up a little further and you put in another lifeline in, take the first one out. Okay. Because if it stays in too long, it can kind of dent the fabric a little bit. You can steam it out, but I don't want you to have your cowls littered with lifelines until the very end, because you'll look like you've made a lifeline pattern. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so, you know, over the next week, have fun with it. We will, next week we can problem solve. My ear.
One sec. Okay, can you hear me?
Yep, now,
Next week we'll problem solve. We'll talk about weaving in ends and just keeping knitting. I can show you, well, I wouldn't have you do it in your cowls, but I can show you some increases and decreases just for grins and giggles. If over the course of the week you have a problem, you can send me a picture of the front and the back, because you can see how in brioche, it might not be evident on the right side, it might be on the wrong side. Okay, and my email was in that, you know, copy that we all were. So you're welcome to email me. If you have questions, I'll usually get back to you, if not the same day, within 24 hours.
Perfect, perfect. So we'll see you in 2 weeks.
No, I thought it was next week.
Are we doing next week for sure?
yeah.
Oh, that was my
next
bad.
week.
It is next week.
Scared me. Yeah.
Hey, I get scared a lot at myself.
So before we go, can you hold up your knitting? So we can see?
Whoopsie.
Nice. All right. Brave new beginnings.
Yeah,
Yep.
All right. Now, Paulette, I saw that you were recording the class. Is that something you want to share with everybody?
Absolutely.
Okay, because the videos that I sent to support aren't continental, and I want Darren and Jackie to have the continental.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, it'll be available for everybody.
Perfect. If you could do that, that would be
I
great.
will let them know. Yep, absolutely. No,
Okay.
just remember those first couple of minutes, we were a little bit, you can scroll through, I think, the first 5 minutes of it while we were getting ourselves
Right.
organized with the
Right.
audio.
So basically, pardon me, Darren, but you can scroll through till you see Darren's smiling face join, because that's when we got our group.
That's right. There we go.
Okay, there we go. That's Darren. You are the marker
There we
for the
go.
beginning of the class.
You're the beginning of our round, Darren. When we
You're the
see you,
beginning of our
you're
round.
the
You're the
beginning
beginning of round
round.
one.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody, for tonight. It was fun.
Thank you.
thank
My
you.
Thank you.
pleasure. Have a good
Super,
time.
Pam Grushkin. Thank you, dear.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
We'll
See
see
you
you.
next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I